Hello viewers, well the early access demo has been released for Assetto Corsa Rally. I'm sure a lot of you have been playing it over the past few days. Some journalists and content creators got it a week early. I didn't, so my content's a little bit later, but I wanted to put some time into it before sharing my feelings and opinions and also just to see what the reception is as well. Normally when I make all these videos looking at new games, I produce these videos months, weeks, months ahead of release, and so I have to just look at a game and give you my opinion and then wait and see what the final game's like and what everybody thinks. So it's interesting having everybody else, the onus on them to decide on what they think is good or not good in terms of the world of new racing games. Rally's a big passion of mine, so I'm always keen to see a new rally game, though it's been a bumpy road in more ways than one in terms of good games from bad games. And I've seen that obviously the Assetto Corsa rally was shown at the Sim Racing Expo. There is I'm noting this incredibly sort of protectionist world around different sims these days, where if there's any hint of negativity, suddenly there's a pile-on for that now, and people see criticism as a negative when criticism should be seen as a positive, because if you can highlight the issues and you can fix the issues, then that's all good and you end up with a better game in the end. Okay, so let's talk Assetto Corsa Rally. I did a video a few weeks ago and I looked at the stages, and what I saw the stages was good. It didn't necessarily blow me away in the video clips. When I saw the full stages, obviously it looks a fair bit better on some of those stages, but it really depends on the quality of your PC. I've tested this on two PCs, my new PC with the 5080 and my old PC with a 2080 Super, and the difference varies quite a lot in terms of ability to play and enjoy the game. Okay, so I'm just going to make a short video today, just going with some basic feedback. Let's talk about the driving. I jump in the car and I drive through a few corners and I slide straight off at the first hairpin. I'm sure many people have. What's happening to me? I think when I first jump onto it, I think I saw the car was sliding. I wasn't really connected to it. I hit the brakes. The brakes didn't seem to be all that responsive. It's a hairpin, but it didn't look like a hairpin. And the weight transfer was substantial to a point that I flew off the track, even though I didn't feel like I was going fast enough. It's quite a lot to take on there, isn't there? There's all these things happening. So the car's not going where I expect it to. I'm seeing the corner, I'm hitting the brakes, I'm turning in, and the car's not performing in the way I expect. So certainly when you look at it from a replay perspective, the game looks spectacular. It really does look like a real rally car racing on some of these stages. But when you're in there, there's definitely some issues where I don't feel necessarily I'm connected. And it kind of went like that. I tried the different cars and I never felt really in control of the car. I never felt really connected. It's interesting, in a real rally car you always feel so connected to it, but when a rally driver takes you out, you just feel like you're floating over gravel. It actually feels more like a video game. The car's very on point. The driver's able to position the car exactly as he wants to position it at all times. You need that, whether you're going fast, whether you're going slow. And I have some little tests which I can run across different rally games which give me an idea on where that precision lies, and if that precision is there or it isn't. It's not there at the moment. There's some wallowing in there and other issues. So force feedback definitely needs a bit of work, and I'll keep referencing we are in early access. I understand that, and this is why the developers, it's still a work in progress. The braking distances are too long in my mind. The brakes don't have enough bite to them. And you're hitting the brakes and you sail off through corners. They're not punchy enough. I've seen this quite a lot in racing sims over the years, where games are the braking distances are longer than the real cars. They want you to lean on the brake for a moment and prepare for the corner, and it's the same with rally. Rally is stabbing the brake essentially. It's not long braking distances like a track racer. It really is rather instantaneous, and the weight transfer is in an instant, and as I say, the precision is something else. So getting the feeling of the feedback from the track surface and the brakes is essential. And then this sort of affects the speed perception. Now, I'm not going into changing the FOV options to what suits you. The standard stock is what I'm talking about here, and the standard stock field of view really lacks a feeling of speed. I've mentioned this before. Speed perception is very important because not only are you analysing your speed through the corner, but you're listening to the co-driver, and as the co-driver notes give you distance to corner, it's really important that you get into the zone of that distance, so you're just thinking about what he's saying constantly and doing it, rather than worried about, oh, I don't know if I should brake now or not brake now, or how fast am I going. Really good test, I think, is actually when you start the stage or end the stage and drive to the marshals, and you hit the brakes and the car just doesn't slow down and you smack into the marshals. And I thought to myself, I felt like I was going at 5 miles an hour and the brakes just didn't work. So there is some issues there in just getting all of these elements right. Now, in some respects, we're at a stage now where rallies, because the game is looking so good, it's hitting as games get close to a point of photorealism and the physics options become deeper. The expectation is that the physics, that you have to find a balance between the physics, the simulation, and intuitive control, and what the player's understanding, conveying that to the player. And I just feel at the moment that there's not a balance in all of those areas at the moment. So there is work to do. I'll also point out as well the suspension and the bumps in the road. There are lumps and bumps on the gravel stage, or any stage honestly, that take the car out way too easy. I'm just driving along, I hit a lump and a bump and the car just spins out. I've watched other people's videos and I've seen the same thing happening to them. So there's definitely some work there in terms of suspension travel, what the suspension is taking as well. It's not taking enough to spin the car out right now. It just spins out way too easy. So I'd say that I've moderately enjoyed what I've played in terms of the experience so far. My favourite experience was actually driving the Lancia Delta, because I like the throttle control. It is all just throttle control all the way round, and there's a nice balance there. When you get to the more powerful cars, it's not just that the throttle control is more difficult, it's the fact that the power comes in so quickly in any gear that even when you're just quarter throttle, you're either nowhere or full power. The torque curve is just not that well implemented for me. I say this because if you got into the real rally car and somebody said, right, do a stage in this Group B rally car, okay, you're not going to do it like a Group B driver. You're just going to do it at a slightly slower speed. It'll feel fast to you driving it, and you'll be like, oh my god, I'm going as fast as I've got in my life. But then the Group B rally driver will get on there and you'll realise actually you were going nothing compared to the real pace. I actually apply that as well to rally games. I say, right, this car's all over the place. Let's just cruise it as if we were in a real car. Let's just take it nice and slow. And I'm still hitting bumps and I'm still spinning out. And I think I just wouldn't spin out. There's something wrong there. So there is work to do on all of these handling options. Graphics, again, the graphics are fantastic on the highest settings. Really nice detail. But I do get a lot of stuttering and screen freezing. At first I thought it might have been the hard drive it was on, but I've got it on SSD drives, reasonably quick SSD drives, so that shouldn't be an issue. I ran the game also on the lowest settings on a 2080 Super, and the tarmac stages still didn't work particularly well, so I couldn't really say I could enjoy it and get the most out of it. I've mentioned as well about something is off about not only speed perception but gradient perception. Just now and again I've seen hairpin corners that I can't put my finger on it. You'd need to do an analysis, but I can't see them. It's a bit strange. I can't really see them very well. It's an odd perception, but I've had this in games before. So obviously the performance isn't great on a low-end PC, and there's still work to do, but it's an early access game and there's a lot to do there. I think the control pad handling has a lot of positives in terms of some throttle control, but again, with the more powerful cars it can be very difficult depending on the travel of your triggers they might need some options to balance in some sort of, not necessarily traction control, but some sort of torque control setting just to help you with that. But in terms of precision with the stick, it's nowhere. It is nowhere right now. So there's a lot to do in terms of controller handling. There is just too much wallowing around with the car. So, so far, I like what I see. I think we've got a really good rally game in the making. There's a lot of work to do, but the visuals and everything that ties it together, starting with the marshals, driving to your stand, starting crowds running across the track, all these little details that we haven't had since Sega Rally 2, I think was the last time I saw somebody running across the track actually in a commercially released game. There's a lot there's loads to be positive, and it's just getting all the tweaks right. So I can see this is a big investment for Assetto Corsa and Kunos. You've got Irving Zonka, who's behind this, who's a massive rally fan. Originally he was behind the team at WRC at Milestone years ago. Then he went on to work on Sebastian Loeb Rally, which I thoroughly enjoyed. I've mentioned it before, the audio was really poor, but the actual game itself on the PC was great, and it was a real shame it came out just when Dirt Rally came out. And again, it was one of those things where the audience, a bit like you get sometimes in the sim racing world, the audience just focused on Dirt Rally and they let Sebastian Loeb Rally die. They just saw it as Milestone, whatever. You get this partisan thing that goes on where can't we all just play all of the games and enjoy all of them? Why does one have to die? Unfortunately, it came out at that time. The replays, I remember, did not include all the dynamic physics of the main game, which is something that they've included here. I will point out, actually, I do particularly like the replays. I think the replays are great. There's some really nice physics. I had one stage where I crashed and my door was hanging open, bits fly off the car. It's a solid 8 out of 10 in terms of the replay, I think, once they get all of this done. There's also the option to view the cars and see the details. Really nice car models. Everything here is done with passion. Wonderful passion. So it's really nice to see all the work that's done on it. There's just obviously work to do to balance that handling, get it right. And you'll get different feedback from different people, but it's important they find the optimum in all of these areas before releasing it, especially on console, because there's an opportunity there, but they need to get it absolutely right in terms of look, feel, performance, out of the box, difficulty curve, everything. I could tell you 100 different boxes they need to tick to get it right, but there is the potential there, providing they nail it. But that's it from me for now. That's some notes on Assetto Corsa Rally. I'll come back to this probably in a few months' time when new stages and various updates are completed and give it a more in-depth look. And of course then I'll go through it hopefully in a lot more depth when the game's eventually relaunched at some point in the future. But that's it from me for now. Do like and subscribe if you like this video. Do like and subscribe. It supports what I do. And there'll be more from me very soon.